And welcome to Marathon Stadium, the home ground of the Newcastle Knights. A smallish crowd here and kept down, of course, by the very, very cold conditions. A gale force wind coming out of the south as the Sydney Roosters take the field. They've got a magnificent record here. They haven't been beaten since 1996. And the last three meetings of these two clubs have resulted in victories for Brad Fittler's Sydney Roosters. Here's the team tonight for the side from Bondi Junction: Phillips, Miles, Cross, Hegarty, Minicello, Fittler, Wing, Ricketson, Fitzgibbon, Fletcher, Logan, Bonetti, Rubin, and then on the bench Solomona, Burns, Hood, Rigon, and coached by Graham Murray. Matt Singh out of the side. The Newcastle side is Abraham at fullback. McDougall goes to the wing because of the suspension of Tahu. And then it's Gidley, Hughes, Beckett, the Johns brothers, Peden, Rudder, Simpson. Fairley's out of the team. Parsons is in there with Badiris and Butterfield. The change bench is Rahihi, Grief, Fletcher and Shields, and coached, of course, by Warren Ryan. Talking of the Newcastle Knights, they take the field. Sixth on the competition ladder. Sydney Roosters up in number 2, and of course the main mission for Newcastle is to get up in that top 4 and thus get themselves a home ground semi-final. Captain Tony Butterfield escaping suspension last Tuesday night. Andrew on the sideline and rugged up for the occasion.
Yeah, Ray, there's a real bite to that wind here tonight. It's interesting, the Roosters won the toss and have elected to run into the wind in the first half. Ray, you could say the Knights owe the Roosters one after their clash in round 9 this year. For 75 minutes, the Newcastle side, knocked about by injury, had been the better side. In fact, as we watch some of the action, the two Johns brothers were injured in this match. Ben Kennedy had a stormer, but with 5 minutes to go, they led by 18 points to 8. Then Brad Fittler, he said whooshka, and away they went. A solo try got it back to 18-14, and then the pass for Robert Miles to score out wide. It was left to Craig Fitzgibbon with this almost sideline conversion to give the Roosters a vital victory, the one that got away for the Newcastle Knights. If we have a similar sort of game tonight, we're certainly in for a treat. Yes, and on that occasion, that kick taken by Fitzgibbon. Simpkins is the referee tonight, and I think it was left up to Luke Phillips and Craig Fitzgibbon to work out who would take that match-winning kick at goal. A little bit of shades there of last Sunday's cliffhanger of a game as Fletcher takes the first play for the Roosters side just beyond his own 20-metre line. And now Logan, who's back tonight, in fact made his return last weekend, and he takes it out to the 30-metre line. Dallas Hood consequently goes to the bench. Rubin now, he hits it up. Third play expiring, 35 metres away from the Sydney Roosters line. Fitzgibbon takes his turn in the queue, and he gets it to the 40. So no Adrian Lamb in this side tonight. A night that will see a lot of kicking, the first of the game from Fittler, and they're running into a very strong breeze.
And Ray, you mentioned the Roosters' good form against Newcastle. Well, they come here tonight as one of the form teams in the NRL at the moment, probably along with Penrith. They've won their last 4 in a row, tonight striving to make it 5.
Butterfield then, as Newcastle gets their first touch of the ball. The Parramatta team has scrambled to victory in Auckland. They won by 11-10. They trailed for the greater part. And Parramatta fans can breathe a sigh of relief as a grubbing kick goes down the ground and goes over the touchline. McDougall storming down on top of the Andrew Johns kick.
And that result from Auckland, of course, as we watch Andrew Johns kick finding the sideline, just puts that little bit more pressure on Newcastle tonight, especially. The Eels move to 23 points. It's the same amount of points they might sit on at the moment.
It also adds some pressure, Paul, to the Sharks and Tigers clash coming up over the weekend.
Well, it does. You think that the West Tigers and Parramatta might fight out that last spot in the top 8. I suppose the Dragons might have something to say about that as well. But Auckland did score 2 tries to 1. David Pennick, the winning field goal, about 5 minutes from full time.
Ricketson then hammered by the Newcastle defence. Parsons came over the top of Bill Peden. Now Rubin, and Rubin met by some aggressive Newcastle defence. This is a different Ian Rubin than I saw last year playing for South Sydney, and he's now very much the go-forward man. He's the tough man for the Sydney Roosters, and Butterfield and his colleagues will have something to say about that, I'm sure, particularly in the opening exchanges. Abraham is smashed to the ground. Fittler leading the procession with Fitzgibbon towards the Newcastle player. Now Gidley, who's been in tremendous form. He's put down just outside his own 20. McDougall with number 1 on his back. He's playing on the right wing. And I thought he may well still play at full back even when they ran on, but he is playing on the right side. And now Big Parsons, who was to come off the bench for this game. He plays it inside the 40. Andrew Johns tries to carve through. And he had support from Abraham as the kick goes down the ground again, low, and bouncing up favourably for probably the form player in this club, Luke Phillips. Now Ricketson away. It's very, very quick football. The balls have been clean and crisp. And here's a problem for Logan. Scott Logan, the big man, the front rower, coming off the field as the number 19, Robert Miles, who's in the side for Matt Singh, is tackled just beyond his own 40. Nothing on the scoreboard so far. Fletcher almost to the halfway line. Keep in mind that the Roosters now, what about that play the ball? He let that go, Simpkins. I thought he might have dropped that. 5th tackle indicated. Will stay with the players. It goes now to the boot of Phillips. It's a shocker. It went the wrong way. It went up and down in the same place. Ricketson, Fittler, Cross, and Cross tries to make something out of nothing. And if he had been able to pass, in fact, had he passed, I'm pretty sure Minicello would have scored.
Absolute. I mean, Ryan Cross sold the first dummy. It was taken by Newcastle. Then he pumped another one long, which wasn't taken. He just had to pass the football. What's this? 2-on-1. Beckett stays out. Pass now, and it's a try. No doubt about it.
As it turned out, the defence of Daniel Abraham was very solid, but he could have done nothing had Ryan Cross opted to pass. Parsons now, Newcastle off the hook in the early moments of this clash. Round 22, 5th last weekend, and there's a knock-on by Hughes. So they'll get the ball in good field position, the Roosters. Mark Hughes, the number 4, clutching at it. The breeze very strong.
That was something of a let-off for the Roosters there. Andrew Johns saw that there was an overlap to be created if he could get the wide pass out to Mark Hughes and to Lenny Beckett. Man on screen unable to take it in. A few mistakes early from Newcastle playing with this strong breeze. They would have expected to have spent the first 10 or 15 minutes down at the other end of the field.
Leaning right down to get a pass from Craig Wing that was down on the Tootsies, and then Fitzgibbon away for Hegarty. Hegarty to play it just beyond the 30-metre line. And so the Roosters mount what they hope might be a fruitful attack for them as Bonetti unloads. He's been in every game this season, Simon Bonetti. He's a bit of an Iron Man. And there's a Newcastle player just standing behind the ruck. Innocently, Steve Simpson comes up with the football and plays it. They go down the short side with Butterfield. What's the story with Logan, Andrew?
It's a cork above the knee for Scott Logan. He is expected to be back. Also, Luke Ricketson off the field at the moment. He's got a problem with his contact lenses. And as I speak, Scott Logan just returning to the sideline now.
Penalty from Simpkins inside the 10 against the Roosters. The line finder. It's all very quick. It's frenetic here at the moment. And the tap to be taken by Badiris. Away now for Andrew Johns and then for Parsons. Parsons doing a lot of work. A lot of hit-ups already in the game for Matt Parsons. Lines up against his former clubmate Ian Rubin tonight. They come eyeball to eyeball as Gidley flicks and McDougall reads it. McDougall's there! McDougall's there. There's that pass from Gidley again. It's more than a fluke. It is just something beautiful from Matthew Gidley. He had that understanding with Darren Albert. He's got the same understanding with Adam McDougall. Beautiful play.
And the pass run at the other end by the Roosters straight to Steve Simpson has hurt them. Tremendous work from Matt Gidley, but also Adam McDougall. He had to beat one tackle. Might have been, no, it's not Ian Rubin, but one of the Roosters players had a pretty good shot at McDougall. Big winger. Pirouetted out. Straightens up. In fact, it's Brad Fittler who went in, came out. He might have hit his head on McDougall's legs.
Yeah, how good's he going, McDougall? Back to the wing tonight. He made his name as a winger. Been playing sensationally as a fullback. Onto the flank again. He's beaten 3 there in that little 10-metre dash. No doubts he grounded the football, but the mistake made by Ian Rubin, a pass that He threw straight to Newcastle. On the back of that, a penalty, and they were back right down attacking for the first time, I might add. Newcastle have come up with a try.
Andrew Johns then. At 64% from the sideline. Breeze with him, and it's just wide. No addition. 4 points to nil. Newcastle with Adam McDougall over the line at the 8th minute. To our viewers overseas and on network stations around Australia and on our cable TV networks taking us on replay. A very warm welcome, which is probably the wrong word to use tonight. The Knights 4-0. And even with the breeze, they were doing it tough, and then all of a sudden one mistake and they were in the corner for McDougall, and they lead 4-0.
And Ray, this is a very difficult breeze as well. You could see with that Andrew Johns conversion, the ball moved about 3 different ways. It is swirling. It is going to be a difficult night. We saw Billy Peden nearly knock on from the restart then. Tough night for handling for both teams.
It may also restrict the Johns brothers with that long passing game that they have. Here's Peden running into a hole, supported by Matthew Johns. He puts it down, and a scrum will pack just on the Roosters side of halfway. You were talking there about Adam McDougall being one of the form fullbacks. There's some of the walking wounded: Ben Kennedy, David Fairley, Davis, you can add him to that, Albert, Clinton O'Brien. Gee, if they ever get them all back on the park, they're going to have a very good side again, the Knights. They're going to threaten their opponents right through the playoffs. This is Ryan Cross on the halfway line now. Heavy tackling. Look at Parsons coming in, third man. Cleaned them all up, including his own. Dallas Hood is on now. 41 metres out from the Newcastle line. Bonetti starting something down the blind side. And Darren Burns, he plays it now. Another former South Sydney player, Fletcher. Fletcher gets away, puts it on the chest of Fittler. You can't beat that left foot step. And Fittler goes around the fullback and puts it behind the uprights. Made to look so easy. Who gave that ball? Fletcher, wasn't it?
Yeah, great work from Brian Fletcher. He's another player back from injury for this game. And he just takes on Scott Simpson. Couldn't handle the big second rower. Beautiful offload to Brad Fittler. And then the step on Abraham, where you can't blame the fullback. One-on-one with Brad Fittler. 9 times out of 10 he's going to beat you, and that was one of the 9. The Test second rower, so good at breaking the line and also at keeping his arms free.
It's another facet of his game he's just developed, that little hit and spin that Brian Fletcher. And Brad Fittler, one of the great steppers in the game. He angled out, he drew Abraham with him, and then that wonderful left foot step. And some of the great fullbacks of the past 20 or 30 years wouldn't have got in there.
Brad Fittler stunned in that tackle that he missed on Adam McDougall, striking back to score the opening points for his side. It's 4 points all, and this is right in front for Craig Fitzgibbon. So Sydney Roosters lead Newcastle 6-4. 12 minutes gone in the game. Andrew.
And keep in mind they're running into the breeze in the first half. You mentioned the players out for the Newcastle Knights. There's some pretty handy talent on the sideline for the Roosters. You can see Matt Singh with a hamstring injury, Adrian Lamb with a shoulder. That's the reason they're out tonight. But you can add the likes of Barnett, Pongia and Elsgood to that list of injured players. So you could say both teams below strength.
And I noticed also there alongside them, Channel 9 commentator these days on the Schoolboys, and doing a fine job, Sean Garlick.
He's still got a 1-match suspension to serve from last year, from his final game for Souths.
And Ray, I'd like to apologise to Steve Simpson there too. He called him Scott. Well, Stephen. Brad Fittler, you saw when McDougall scored, he actually got his head in the wrong position. Instead of being behind Adam McDougall's legs, he got it in front of the body and copped his knee. Completely accidental.
Played by Fitzgibbon. And now Ian Rubin coming from a standing start is tackled on the 40-metre line at the end of the 5th tackle. So the kick from inside the 40, but it's not going anywhere. It's going to come away over the touchline down on the Newcastle 40-metre line. Just repeating, Parramatta defeating Auckland after trailing. They got home with a drop goal to win 11-10 against the Warriors. The Warriors scoring 2 tries to 1.
And from that kicking effort from Craig Wing, you would imagine the Roosters in this first half would just about, on most occasions, go through to the last tackle. Try and pick up as many metres before they're forced to kick. Not so for Newcastle. They'll kick early in the tackle count, try and play field positions. McDougall can't get outside both Hegarty and Miles.
Gidley then, an offload for Abraham. McDougall on that occasion going infield, looking for the ball. They would have been working on involving McDougall as much as possible. Far too good a player to be out there on the right wing. And they've launched him into the attack there. I think it was first or second man off the ruck. Here's Bill Peden now as Newcastle get it 22 metres away from the Roosters line. The Roosters 6-4. Matthew Johns a dummy, then a pirouette. Then he goes back, picks up Abraham. Fittler came out of the line, still made the tackle. Got a little assist there from Bonetti. Now Matthew starts something down the blind side, and Luke Phillips is away from the first attempt. Then they chance the pass. Minicello will have to succumb. It's good chasing by Newcastle. Adventurous by Sydney Roosters, but they will line drop out.
In the end, it was great work from Luke Phillips. He had a dig, didn't he? He tried to get out. Saw there was an opportunity for Minicello to get out.
Minicello, is it? I must have misread his name. I'm terribly sorry to Mr. and Mrs. Minicello. Now the line drop out into the breeze. Good effort. Went 40 metres. Rahihi looking to get a chance to put it over the line without any allegations of double movements tonight. Glenn Grief 20 metres out from the Roosters line. Medeiros finds Matt Johns, rifles it. Gidley did well, beats Hegarty to the bargain, puts on the flick pass again for McDougall. He does the same. Matty Johns couldn't get a hand on it, and the Roosters have got it. Gidley and McDougall, they both put the flick pass on that time. A double pump at it.
Both the Roosters centres taking a little bit of a chance. They've raced up one out on a couple of occasions. That's Hegarty and Cross. That occasion almost an intercept for Hegarty. And he didn't get the intercept. It did give a chance to the Knights as the Roosters get a relieving penalty.
Just inside the 30-metre line. And there's Logan coming back on in jumper number 10. The big boot of Brad Fittler. Not so in this first half tonight. It is a very strong wind, and he goes for a safe kick that only picks up 10 metres. And this first play is 5 metres on their side of halfway, the Roosters. It's given going down the short side. Landing in the big Nutrigrain sign. Of course, Friday night sponsors of Rugby League. Great to have them on board this year. Hegarty was stung by that tackle. He's not well as they come back and across and pick up Logan, who, there's Hegarty limping. I thought he might have copped one on the chin, but he's favouring a knee as Wing puts it on the inside for Burns. And then from Phillips, it's found Fittler. Fittler grubber kicking. McDougall covers it. And then he beats one. He beat Robert Miles, and then Hegarty almost had to come out of his sick bay to make a tackle. Abraham again. Just outside the 30 now. Here's Fletcher. Fletcher and Shields were destined for First Division tonight. Here's Peter on the field now. Peter Shields. He was nearly their best forward early on in the season, and he suffered injury and he was coming back through First Division. But it's amazing, isn't it, Rugby League? He was just about their best at the start of the year, and then he's still got to come back the same way as the others.
Oh, there's a mistake now there by the winger. Minicello. But you do find sometimes when players such as Fletcher and Shields have been put down to play First Division, they come up into the top grade. They do normally produce very fine matches. And the ball in the air tonight, I've wanted a couple of the Roosters' kicks along the ground. That's not the go tonight. With this wind, the ball has got to go to the air, and like that, will cause plenty of problems.
I wonder how long it'll be before this man does exactly that. With this breeze behind him, he hasn't rained a bomb on them yet, but I reckon it's not far away.
Second half raid, that'll be Andrew Johns at his best with the bomb. Kicking into the breeze, he'll be even better.
So Badeiros looks around, counting numbers. He comes away for Andrew. Inside ball for Grief, and Grief head-on-head tackle from Darren Burns ends the night. And now a run from Badeiros. Badeiros held up. Oh, just thought he had a chance to pop the pass to Grief. Grief now acting half. Then Andrew Johns back and away. Mark Hughes. Ah, good tackle, Minicello. Fletcher's pass. Andrew Johns, a little juggle. There's the kick high. The breeze bringing it around. There'll be a jump on. No, the breeze has blown it away over the dead ball line.
Well, speaking of blown, Ray, we saw another blown try on this side of the field. Mark Hughes only had to pass the football to an unmarked winger. And there's that ball swirling again, as Paul pointed out. Fortunately for the Roosters, bouncing over the dead ball line.
Yeah, but in that play, Peter, that you talked about, there was a player taken out. Ryan Cross was dead set taken out by Troy Fletcher. It should have been a penalty for mind of the Roosters.
Cross then. Playing it now, 35 out from his own line. This is Craig Wing in the Adrian Lamb number 7 tonight. Bonetti catching the shoulder of Fletcher. It was left to Grief to do the major part of the tackling. Now Brian Fletcher for the Roosters. Brad Fittler punching it down into the breeze, and then it comes down at right angles. The fullbacks had a busy night tonight. Daniel Abraham. Hughes. Heavy tackle by Ricketson. Wrapped him up and put him away. Rahihi. Just inside the 40-metre line. From Rudder in number 12 for Peter Shields, and he takes a buffeting again from the Roosters defence before getting a ball away. That's good work by Peter Shields, and this is Troy Fletcher getting it away equally as well. Then Bill Peden. Peden will play the ball inches on the Roosters side of halfway in the centre of the park, which is looking quite barren in the centre as well. We have to do a bit of doctoring with this turf here at Marathon. Passing from Andrew Johns onto the chest of Mark Hughes, and then, oh, miraculous stuff, they're over! They're in to score! Andrew Johns, Mark Hughes, Lenny Beckett, what a combination! What's that called?
That's the old cannon, right? You just try and kick it into the leg of an opponent, bounce it into your support player's arms, and Bob's your uncle.
It's a Walter Lindrum.
I'm not quite sure where Mark Hughes was trying to kick this. It's a deliberate kick from Mark Hughes. He was just going infield to where Andrew Johns was chasing on the inside, but, well, luck's a fortune, isn't it? Straight into the arms of Lenny Beckett, and Andrew Johns, and he improves it for his conversion as well, takes it around under the post. Freaky stuff.
Yeah, you might say lucky, but good skill level, wasn't it, by the winger in Beckett. Followed it through. Too much speed, and an inside ball. The audacity of Andrew Johns. Could have put the ball down there. Little left foot step. Got him another 4 or 5 metres right under the sticks.
So from the replay to the conversion, and from right in front, another 2 points to the Knights. They lead 10-6 after 22 minutes. We take a break. Wow. Miraculous stuff. 4 points the margin as we welcome you back, those of you that have been to a break. Channel 9's Wide World of Sports at Marathon Stadium tonight on a very, very cold night. The home side in front, 10 points to 6, 2 tries to 1. When Adam McDougall scored their first try, Sydney Roosters through Brad Fittler were quick to reply. Shields losing the ball for Newcastle in heavy defence. And play by Hegarty. Solomona comes into the game for the first time. They are 30 metres away from the line. Can they do something from this visit? Logan seems to be okay as Bonetti comes right, turns it back up the middle for Burns, and Burns runs into Big Parsons. Fletcher moves in, 15 out from the line, right in the centre of the ground. Ricketson takes the play, and Rudder it is that makes the tackle. Into the right, and Fletcher steps off his right foot, loses the ball. So off comes the pressure for Newcastle. He's looking very dangerous though, Brian Fletcher.
He skipped out of the tackle of Andrew Johns. Sean Rudder did well coming across. Forced the mistake. 7 handling errors so far. And what a big night for Craig Wing. Adrian Lamb out for, I believe, a minimum of 3 weeks. So Wing would be in the number 7 jersey for that period of time. And also looking at being their future halfback. So plenty of pressure on the youngster tonight. He's had his problems form-wise this year.
Go wide for Gidley. Sideline comment, Andrew Voss.
Well, Newcastle Knights already after 23 minutes have made a mess of the Roosters' recent defensive record. Going into tonight, Ray, they'd only conceded 2 tries in the last 3 weeks, and both of those tries against Melbourne and against Auckland came in the last couple of minutes. So Newcastle Knights going far better than the previous opposition of the Roosters over the last month.
Roosters looking to record their 5th straight win here tonight. Newcastle have won only 1 of their last 3. And there's the defence ratings for you to analyse as Luke Phillips carries it back to the 20-metre line. They're a brave crowd here at Newcastle. They love their football. You've heard me tell you that for a number of years, but there's Bonetti coming off. But tonight they really have had their loyalty tested, as anybody living in this area would know. Terribly cold, both in Newcastle and Sydney. As Logan brings it to within 7 metres of the halfway line. And this is Rigon. He comes off contract, I believe. And that reminds me that come midnight tonight, there'll be plenty of telephones ringing, I would imagine. Lenny Beckett doing the cleaning up back there for Newcastle. Brother of Robbie from the Panthers, who play in our Sunday game. They go to ANZ Stadium looking for their first win ever, the Panthers, when they take on Brisbane. You'll see that at 4 o'clock in Sydney on the 9 network and throughout New South Wales and Queensland, that match, of course. Andrew Johns running it at the big front rower, Logan, and trying to get between him and Hegarty as Gidley sweeps it back. Parsons is there. He's really come ready to play Matt Parsons tonight. Gidley, cross it goes. Matthew Johns, long ball, finding its mark. Hughes, Beckett. Beckett puts on the pace. He gets away from Minicello. Oh, coming from nowhere, Craig Wing. The ball goes back to the middle. It's dived on, and Billy Peden has put it down. Well, he always seems to come up in the right place at the right time. But what about little legend Lenny Beckett? Fantastic work.
Tremendous finishing from the Knights, but good lead up from their inside men as well. Both Sean Rudder and Matthew Johns did well, getting the football out wide in difficult conditions. It was breaking down in the middle, not going anywhere. Rudder gets that pass away. If he frees it there, you can see that Matthew Johns realises that these defenders are well back. He's got support out here, and as play continues, the pass finds its mark. Hughes draws and passes. Beckett, the big fend on Minicello, couldn't get the pass back inside, so he opted for the next option was the kick, and Billy Peden, Drover's dog, gets another one.
Yeah, well, the Roosters are allowing them far too much latitude out on this on their right-hand defensive side, and that's Lenny Beckett's just had 3 goes down this side, and Minicello can't put it with him at the moment. Johns converts. So
Andrew adds a further 2. So the red and blues are happy. The Legends, 27 minutes gone, 16-6 over Sydney Roosters.
And then converted successful to Joey Johns.
The audience, of course, in the UK are about to see the arrival of the exodus from Sydney Rugby League. They're saying something like 23 players will join English clubs. 10 points the margin now. The home side with the breeze at their back, more than a breeze, as we've explained to you. And if you had to rate this in points, you'd be talking probably in the area of 12, 14-point breeze. They don't come any stronger. Almost to the 40-metre line. with Danny Badiris.
Well, I guess, Ray, as we see Andrew Johns kick from inside his 40, hoping for the ball to land inside the 20 and over the sideline. Robert Miles stops that from happening. No surprise that Newcastle are looking to attack wide when you have a look at the inexperience. Ooh, danger there for Minicello. He did well. But the outside backs for the Roosters, not too many first-grade games between them.
Solomona with the ponytail and the headgear. And now Dallas Hood was going to give it to Craig Wing. Eventually he gave it to Brad Fittler back on the other side. And Fittler plays it 9 metres from the halfway for Shane Riggin to take it across that mark. Taken down by Butterfield, played back to Burns. Burns using Rigon. Rigon runs the play straight to the Newcastle number 14, Steve Simpson. Now Fittler. Then Luke Phillips back on the inside. Just a little punctuation in what happened there. They wanted to do it much quicker and much smoother. Well, Fittler's kick. Have a look at this. Up in the air, and it came back almost like a boomerang. Phillips then.
What was that? A boomerang?
Coming off his own line, McDougall. You obviously haven't heard the song. Mind you, it is a pretty ancient song, so I wouldn't doubt that you didn't hear it. Here it is, the boomerang. Up and back. Perfect example. Now, Andrew. Offloading before hitting the ground. Matthew, oh dear. Just given up there by Troy Fletcher.
Well, that's what they needed, the Roosters, into this breeze. They really need to score again before half-time, no doubt about that. They're not playing too badly. I mean, the forwards are going all right. Logan, Reuben, Fletcher. It's just their defence has let them down a little bit. And lucky, well, not lucky tries. They worked hard for them, the Knights, but the kicking game for the Knights has been fantastic. Here goes Wing to the ground.
Good chance here for the Roosters. Burns. 20 out. Reuben. Saw the impact of the two big men when they came together there. Butterfield down low and driving on big Reuben. Now for Craig Wing, who runs at Matthew Johns. And Simpson gives him some assistance in the defence. They go through 3 sets of hands. The ball bouncing along the ground to Hegarty. Unloads. Newcastle comes up with it. Andrew Johns was on the spot. Butterfield is with it now. Fletcher.
He'll be happy to get the ball back in his arms. Troy Fletcher. Pretty strong burst here from Simpson, takes it to the 40. The first thing when you put on a Newcastle Knights jersey that you're told is that every time Andrew Matthew Johns have got the football, expect it. Troy Fletcher didn't do that to give the Roosters a chance in that last set of 6.
Rahihi. Grandstand side of Marathon. They go down there again, and here's Beckett again. He's gone straight over the top of Minicello again. He's giving him a nightmare as it goes out to the left foot of Gidley. McDougall's after it. Miles is in trouble, but he gets a bat on it. Pat on the head there for Robert Miles. He had the attacking genius of Newcastle coming down on him. This is Beckett running roughshod over Minicello. Miles with no alternatives. Nowhere to go. Got the job done.
How far the drop kick here, Ray?
He got the other one away from here pretty good. He got it to go 40 metres, and I thought that was excellent. This one's going to be cut off, though. So Butterfield takes play 1, 26 metres away from the line in the centre. Rahihi takes the second play to 15 with an offload. Badiris, inside ball for Andrew, and he's put down by Reuben. 8 away. Badiris for Matthew. Matthew puts a sprint on. Badiris, beautiful passing from dummy half. Andrew Johns dummies, holds it back, then Peden. Peden's got the arms free. Eventually put down. Andrew again, keeps pumping the blindside, goes himself, he's over! Andrew Johns is over! Those tremendously powerful legs. He's put himself over the line from dummy half.
He can do it all, Andrew Johns. He's a back rower. Look at the size of him, the strength of him. Plenty of defence there, but also plenty of support players on the outside of Andrew Johns, keeping the defence interested, and that allowed him to go one-on-one, and he was able to drive through the tackle, in fact, through the tackle of Hood and Phillips.
Yeah, all the Roosters defenders there played the support players rather than Andrew Johns, the man with the football. Marcus just hesitated for that fraction of a second. Dallas Hood, he just stepped back, should have been moving there. Instead, he hung back, and that allowed Andrew Johns just that half a second he needed with his strength to get through the little gap.
I really think Ryan Cross is going to get caught out at some stage tonight, rushing up on the outside. Play previous to the try being scored, he did so again, and Andrew Johns, he nearly picked up a second man runner or a wide runner. That's the assignment in front of the halfback now to extend the lead by a further 2.
Just looking at the tackle count, Sydney Roosters have been required to make 20% more tackles than the Knights. As Andrew prepares to convert his own try, a difficult assignment by anybody's standards tonight. 6 in from touch, 22 out. Joey Johns sends it out, way out in front of the uprights, and it comes back, but not quickly enough. Let's have another look at what happened there with Newcastle going to a 20-6 lead.
And with 6 minutes remaining, Ray, I know that the Newcastle Knights, for a fact, after last week's loss to the Dragons, set themselves the goal. They thought they have to win 4 of their last 5 if they're to make the all-important top 4 and host one of the first matches in the first week of the playoffs. You look at their run home, the Eels, the Sharks, the Tigers and the Bulldogs, and 2 of those 4 matches are at home. So it's not beyond them.
No, it's certainly not, Andrew. In fact, you'd almost be prepared to take something out of your own back pocket and have on them with that draw. And if they make the top 4, look out. They have got just about, I think, as good a chance as they had in '97 when, of course, we were divided. They'd love to win a united competition. Rahihi. 7 or 8 metres on their own side of halfway. Badeiras puts in a little kick. Mark Hughes was there. Minicello dives on it. Great communication there from Newcastle. Both on the left and the right of their attack, they have great communication. Everybody knows what the other is doing, so it appears. Hegarty, Shields is in trouble as Hegarty goes to ground.
Yeah, it looked like a groin problem for Peter Shields, limped off. A little bit of distress as Robert Miles tackled 45 out from his own line. Inside the final 5.
Brian Fletcher to the halfway line. Long way from over this one. 20-6, you might think, well, that's it. They can't win, but they are going to come back in the second half with this gale force wind coming down from the south. Abraham then on the kick return, runs into wing, and Bonetti. I was talking to Phil Gould about Simon Bonetti the other day. When Phil was coach, he almost had to make Bonetti go and take a week off, go and take a holiday. Apparently, he's an absolute workaholic. And when he did give him the week off, by the way, he went down to Griffith and helped out with his dad on the farm for a week.
I was just going to Paul there. We can identify with that, Ray. A few times with us lately.
Yes, exactly. As Andrew Johns' pass is bad for him. Abraham, though, got the bounce that he was looking for. Johns kicking back towards the centre. I was watching McDougall going quickly down the right side. Gidley's tackle wasn't completed. And eventually it was up to Sean Rudder to make the tackle. Phillips now. Rudder, I read with interest, keen to wear the number 6 at Newcastle in the absence of Matthew Johns. This is Miles, who was the leading try scorer for the Roosters last year. Fitzgibbon. really been in tremendous form, the Roosters. I guess I was quoting the obvious. They're really going to miss Adrian Lamb for the next few weeks. Craig Wing with the job to do, got that kick in, and it's not a bad kick into the wind. Abraham getting underneath it, and he will take the tackle safely to ground. Lenny Beckett looks for a runner, picks up Mark Hughes, and Mark is tackled by Craig Wing, 30 out from the Newcastle line, through from Andrew. There's Adam McDougall coming in closer to the ruck again. Gidley finding himself on the right wing. They're going towards him. Rahihi gets the ball to Gidley. Gidley fends, then unloads. Andrew Johns pushes it across. Badeiras for Rudder. Rudder down the middle. There was a groan from the crowd. Now it's gone to Badeiras. Badeiras is swamped from behind by Miles. There was a hint of a forward pass to Rudder. He passes a dummy half.
He's lost it. Lost it at the play the ball area, so the Roosters out of jail there. Newcastle playing beautifully. Short ball, Rudder's in space, the support left and right. He went back to Badeiras, and the cover came on that occasion from Robert Miles. And from here, there must be the tiniest of knock-ons in here. There it is, he lost the football there.
There was some tremendous defence in there from Luke Phillips as well, backing away and backing away. That enabled Robert Miles to arrive, and it made the pass slower. I think he helped save the try as Fletcher takes it forward, then backwards.
Ricketson, minute to go to the break. And it's been all Newcastle. Minicello. He's had an unhappy night. That's Regan. There'll be no halftime hooter in the background. They've had a power failure here. There's no scoreboard, no illuminated scoreboard. Loose ball, chance for the Knights. Picked up quickly by Danny Badeiras. And then it's with Gidley. Puts a left foot kick in. Adam McDougall's after it. McDougall won't make it in time. A race between McDougall and the touchline.
It was really good idea there from Matt Gidley. Unfortunately for the Knights, just the execution let them down a touch. Have to get rid of the last 10-15 seconds here. Fittler, a rare mistake. Badeiras throws to Gidley. He sums up the situation straight away. Robert Miles was way up. If McDougall had got a clear run and a good bounce, he was home.
Yeah, that is half-time now. They've really had some problems here, as I said, with the scoreboard and the electronic hooter. None of that is working. Lights are out right across the private boxes and commentary boxes. But 20 points to 6. The lights might be out up here, but they're certainly on down there. And it's a white-hot Newcastle Knights. Ryan will talk to them about the advantages that Sydney Roosters will have second half and about their very good record here at Marathon Stadium. Newcastle 20, Sydney Roosters 6. That's the halftime score. We'll be back with all the second half action. But first, here's a look at what's coming up on the Sunday edition of the Footy Show. Second half of the action now. With the Roosters trailing by 14 points. And Luke Phillips sending it down onto the western side of the ground. As Matt Parsons brings out the second play of the second half. Butterfield. Ruben trying to take him with the shoulder. Andrew Johns working down the short side. Well, Peter Sterling has already pointed out that he expects the bomb from Andrew Johns to be more prominent in the second half into the breeze. There he is with a little short kick, starting something for Mark Hughes, hopefully. And Minicello it was, who got it away. This is Luke Phillips coming away to be tackled just inside the 30-metre line, his own end. Craig Fitzgibbon gripping the teeth as he comes to the defence line. McDougall just clutching at his face as he came away. Ian Ruben. Was on the Footy Show last night. He's destined to captain the Ruskies, is he not, at the World Cup later in the year. Fittler, and then Wing, and then Johns, and Johns Making the tackle before Ryan Cross makes further ground for the Roosters down the right side. Now Minicello kicks for himself. Abraham turned around awkwardly before he took it away safely. Second tackle with Mark Hughes. Simpson back for Badiris and then for Parsons. It's been like a draft to us, like a Clydesdale tonight. Parsons, he's really worked hard. Butterfield normally steals the spotlight, really, of the front row, exhibition.
Bit of square gator in Matty Parsons on that occasion. Got the knees up, picked up a valuable 15. Rudder takes it outside the 40. Last tackle signalled against the home side.
Andrew Johns leaning down low to take the pass from Badiris, then putting it in the air. And Luke Phillips brings it back to be put away by Matt Gidley, who was at his best down the right side in attack in that first half, with this fellow, McDougall, making the tackle. Hegarty it was. Fitzgibbon, McDougall wrapped it up. Peden was there. They put him over the touchline. Andrew Ross on the sideline, that happening right in front of him. He's got David Fairley with him. Yes, Andrew?
Yeah, and David almost joined in on the tackle right then. Not the perfect first half, but all the same a pretty good one from the Knights.
Not the perfect first half. I mean, we very rarely play the perfect first half. You know, we like to throw the ball around a little bit. So hopefully we've got a little bit of a lead. The wind's going against us. Hopefully we can hang on to the football a bit better.
Now, what about your problem at the moment? It's sort of a week-to-week thing?
No, I should be right for next week. Yeah, no worries.
And, of course, during the week too, announcing that next season off to St Helens.
Off to St Helens. Probably get used to this weather, actually.
We haven't got an accent yet, but you might come home with one. Ray, I might just pass on from the Roosters room at half-time. Graham Murray had a bit to say, but so too did Brad Fittler, who reminded his teammates that back here in 1998, in the first week of the playoffs, they came back from 15-0 down to win 26-15.
Yes, that is true, as Andrew Johns spears the pass out very wide. And Newcastle are 7 metres from the line. Simpson able to get it back and away for Peden, then Andrew Johns takes the tackle easily, then for his brother, he puts in a kick. Newcastle, oh gee, that was a great save by Miles, but it's a line dropout. Lovely quick thinking by the Johns brothers, particularly Matthew.
It's good football from both teams. Defence called upon here from the Roosters to be at its best. Robert Miles nearly got back in the field of play. Matt Gidley showed some strength. I thought they covered Billy Peden pretty well on the far side also the previous play.
So Matthew Johns, not such a great offering from the Sydney Roosters from under the bar. Butterfield, the hair greying in his last season. What a great campaigner he's been. There's been none better, really, that's worn the red and blue. Parsons played it, and then Badiris, then Andrew Johns, and away for his brother Matthew. Matthew holds it back, and then Steve Simpson hits the line hard, but good defence. Craig Wing and Luke Phillips. Matthew Johns. Andrew. Second man play. And it's Abraham from the fullback, up in the back line. Now Andrew hits them on the open side. He puts it over the line. He's in there for his second try, the little fella. Took them on a wide blind side, I should have said. 24-6. 2 tries for Joey Johns.
Well, this is a great play the ball from Daniel Abraham as well. You can see there the Roosters defence still going back to a degree, and that allowed Andrew Johns plenty of space. And as I mentioned earlier, his last try, he's like an extra forward. So strong, through the tackle of Fittler, then Phillips, and Benetti carried across as well for, I think, might be 3, Ray.
Yeah, you're right, Pete. Thanks for correcting me. 3 tries for Andrew Johns.
The defence was far too wide there from that ruck. Brad Fittler, he was probably a metre outside of where he should have been. And when Joey Johns looked up and he saw that gap, Warren Ryan, happy man looking on. Andrew Johns just went for it. Got his 3rd try.
All of them quite different too.
He's achieved everything in the game, Ray, but David Middleton, our stats man, is of the belief that that'll be the first hat-trick he's got in the top grade.
So here he is, and he's hit the upright. It's bounced away. So no conversion. 24-6 though. 47 minutes gone as we take a break from Marathon. To our pay TV audiences through Foxtel and through Optus, watching us on replay. I trust you're enjoying what could well be a dress rehearsal for one of the big finals. 18 points the margin now, as Luke Phillips restarts several of the Roosters in front of the kicker. Allowed to go, as so often it is. Parsons taking a buffeting before unloading back for Mark Hughes. So Newcastle grabbing first point second half, Peter. That's significant.
And that's also a fantastic effort from the restart, Ray. That's the second tackle. They're already 35 out, now 40 out in 3. Matt Parsons offload to Mark Hughes. So important. And they haven't struggled to get out of their own end at all.
Sean Rudder. A couple of names creeping into this Newcastle side that are going to be permanent residents next year and beyond. People like Rudder, Simpson, I know they've got a huge opinion of him. Solomona's in a bit of trouble for the Roosters after making that tackle, as Johns puts a kick down, and Luke Phillips, you can see him following it around with his eyes and the ball swirling. Minicello. There's Bonetti coming off. Strong 4 wins together. The Roosters, in fact, 5 out of the last 6. But that looks like it's coming undone here at Marathon. 16 plays second team, as you can see. Vital game for the Knights. They're trying to make the top 4. Fitness kick brought back to the 20 for the restart. Badiris sending Captain Butch back to them. Gets up, has something to say about Brian Fletcher to the referee.
He was claiming that Brian Fletcher raked the football out, trying to rake the football out.
And this time, if there was an appeal, it's been upheld. Hand on the ball is the indication from the referee.
Yeah, by David Solomona. They got away with it the first time, but on this occasion you've got to wonder why players continue to do this.
Parsons. 5 metres into opposition territory. Butterfield on the charge. Dixon felt the full brunt of the body weight of Butterfield, and then Badiris from just outside the 30 for Andrew Johns, and then beautifully for Gidley. Gidley across for McDougall. McDougall is held by Fittler. Gidley a dummy half. Rahihi. Stung by a couple of rulings last weekend. They're putting it together tonight. McDougall's over again. Adam gets his second for the night. He's got a couple. Joey's got 3. They're really delighting what is a small crowd at Marathon tonight.
It's all too easy now for the Knights. This defence by the Roosters is diabolical. It's 3-on-3, but the pass does the work. Look at the defence. It's just coming in. They're watching the person throwing the football rather than their opposing player. You've got to keep your eyes on the player as well, who's you're marking up against, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, this time Robert Miles, he just allowed the try scorer McDougall on his outside. No space to work in. He couldn't believe his luck, Adam McDougall, in finding some metres on the outside of Robert Miles. And improves the position even a little bit more. Tremendous pass from Danny Badiris. What a talent he is.
So Adam McDougall, now Brad Fittler, just after the try, had this conversation with the referee.
That's going back to the penalty, Ray. You can see there the motion of holding the ball in the tackle. I'm sure he's questioning why Solomona was penalised.
He might have been better off asking Solomona. As Andrew prepares, and this time he gets it, curves it around. It is 30 points to 6. Brother Matthews on the bench, 52nd minute, as we take a break on the wide world of sports.
Conversion successful to Joey John. The Impulse Knights now 13. Roosters 6 here at Marathon
Slowly
Stadium.
back. The job becoming now almost impossible. Phillips restarting. Fittler would have been, on that occasion, at least 2 metres in front of him when he kicked off. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't particularly worry me that they let that go. It doesn't have too much of an effect on results. Probably the only bee in the bonnet that one has is they should change the rule book to suit rulings that they turn their blind eyes to. Rahihi. 30 points to 6 then. Fourth play is down for Newcastle. Badeiros and then Andrew Johns, and they failed to put him away the first time. In fact, he lost his footing before Rigon was able to put him away. Rudder gets this kick in, and Luke Phillips, realising that the ball is going to come down very quickly, is standing quite shallow. Craig Wing, 30-metre line, their own end. And just when they wanted the tide to start ebbing their way, it's kept going the other way. 2 tries in the second half already for Newcastle.
Forward pass from dummy half, Ray. It's really breaking down for the Roosters.
So often that pass from the dummy half looks to go forward, goes unnoticed, unchecked. That time a referee or a touch judge perfectly in line with it. So Newcastle with Glenn Grief putting it together. Paul made the point the defence is pathetic at times from the Roosters. But gee, when you put some of the missing players back in this Newcastle side, don't they look strong? Andrew Johns, wide ball for Mark Hughes, holding it back, and he will play it. 12 away from the line. Peden. Dummies to Rahihi. They go back down the blind. They outnumber them. Hughes is over. Mark Hughes scores for Newcastle. 34-6 now.
Well, this is a very poor effort from the Sydney Roosters tonight. I know that their opponents have had plenty of football, but gee, this is simple stuff. It's not the kind of defence that's going to win semi-final football. Just a change in direction. Nobody trailing back across. Poor reading, and Minicello left 2-on-1. Mark Hughes able to just slide through.
Yeah, once again they caught them all flat-footed. They fall in the trap. I think, well, it's not coming my way, I can just stand here and have a rest. And when it did come their way, they couldn't react in time. Billy Peden's had a great game again tonight, hasn't he? He saw an opportunity there. And look, he ran, what, 8-10 metres before someone laid a hand on him, Mark Hughes.
So while Andrew Johns is preparing this conversion, what's the report on his brother, Andrew?
Yeah, the story with Matthew, slightly aggravated a calf muscle injury he suffered many weeks ago now here at Marathon Stadium. And given the scoreline now, you'd just about be putting Matthew Johns in cotton wool for the rest of the night.
Meantime, Andrew from the scoreboard side, the hill side, on the touchline, and just falling off the mound. Matthew uses the sand still. He doesn't use the kicking tee. That's what he's got. And again it falls over. Might have to call for some help in a moment. Sunday, don't forget, Penrith and Brisbane. We'll televise that from ANZ. We'll see it at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Here he comes now. And that should go away. It does, over to the left of the uprights. So no addition. 34-6 at the 56th minute. Repeating that Parramatta tonight defeated Auckland, earlier I should say, 11 points to 10. They trailed until the final seconds, and they got a drop goal. So Brian Smith would be smiling, but Graham Murray, it'll be very hard to see a flicker of a smile on his face tonight. Matthew Johns is testing that calf muscle. It looks like he's going to come back into the game. Yes, just testing it out. Fletcher. Quite an incredible scoreline, really, when you consider the way the Roosters have been playing, and they've been getting collective praise from all of the pundits. Andrew Johns playing beautifully tonight. He always does more than his share, doesn't he? But he's probably feeling much more relaxed mentally now that he's made his decision to stay. Rudder's kick, and Miles it is bringing it away.
Speaking about the inadequacies of the Roosters' defence tonight, as we again have a look at the competition ladder. On the other hand, the Knights have been excellent, and Andrew and Matthew Johns have been very, very vocal out there, pointing to where Fittler is, and they've been making sure that the Newcastle Knights are aware that more often than not it will go Fittler's way. They've come up in numbers, as Mark Hughes has done on that occasion.
As the Roosters run home, Peter, they play the Raiders away, and then they play the Panthers at home, the Cowboys away, and the Broncos at home. So it's not easy either, but you'd have to think they're going to certainly make top 8. Although I wouldn't be banking on them getting a home ground, not yet anyway. Abraham. Sydney Roosters knocking each other out now. Have a look at this. This is Rooster on Rooster.
And then we saw a penalty awarded, another very silly penalty. I think that was the culprit, Luke Ricketson. Put his arm across, pushed the ball out. That's McDougall taking it out. Just have a look at the 13 lying on his back. Puts the hand in, knocks it out. Pretty much right in front of the touch judge and referee.
Every so often, Paul, teams that are going beautifully, smoothly, according to plan, they inexplicably put in a bad one, don't they?
It's very hard to work out because even a lot of the good judges, Phil Gould, Peter Sterling, they've been warming to the Roosters. I mean, 4 in a row, 5 out of the last 6 been playing some great football. And they come here tonight and produce this sort of effort. Very disappointing for them.
Ah, look at Andrew Johns, ladies and gentlemen. Then it is hooker Badiris who picks up the 4 points. But Andrew Johns, one of the greatest players of all time, is really showing that form tonight. It's not a case of living up to his potential. He's more than arrived, and this is Andrew Johns having an absolute party in front of all his brothers and sisters here in Newcastle tonight. They love him, he's a member of the family, and Danny Badiris, his name goes down as the try scorer.
We all love him, Ray, not just because of his ability, but because of his passion and love for the game. And he's just got it all. You run out of superlatives. A little chip through. He scored 3 himself tonight. Well, he's really scored 4 because he just puts this on a platter for Danny Badiris. He said he's one of the all-time great players. He may well end up being the greatest we've seen. We might put him up in the Gaznia class, the Raper class, sooner than later.
And, you know, whilst the Roosters have been disappointing, this other mob, they have been white hot, haven't they? The Newcastle Knights, superb performance.
So Matthew Johns for 20 personal points. Not Matthew, Andrew Johns, 20 personal points. Badiris gets the try, 40-6. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. (40-6). Rahihi. 12 metres out from his own line with this commanding break.
We said at half-time, Ray, that the opportunity would be there for the Roosters because you'd think they'd enjoy good field position. But the Knights have found it very easy to come out of their own end. They haven't gone into a shell. They've kept the ball alive. Matty Parsons has been fantastic tonight. And they've got into good kicking positions, as they will at the end of this set of 6.
Gidley was me telling you that they had brilliant communication down both sides. And Adam was not ready for this chestnut from Gidley. 15,000 people here tonight. That's a beauty for Newcastle people. I mean, they love their football, as I said, but bitterly cold. 15,394. Tremendous crowd. Fittler a little bit stung by that last tackle. Burns gets it back to him. Fittler has to come alive very quickly. Tackle on the 40-metre line. Time in possession tells its very own story, doesn't it? It basically says that one team has to be double the points of the other. Well, it's more than that. Much more. Dallas Hood. Deputised in the front row. Well, Logan and Pongia were not there. Came off the bench tonight. Darren Burns flopping it down. Was there a tiny knock on? Fittler's with it now. Knocked backwards, and it's 5 tackles. Bonetti, wing. And that left-footed kick along the ground, fielded by Daniel Abraham.
We've expressed our disappointment with the Roosters tonight, but when you have a look at that possession, it is no surprise that they trail by a big margin. Shouldn't be 34 points, but they have let themselves down in simple areas. It's Matt Parsons again. What a game he's had, coming in off the bench. Powerhouse up front for the Knights.
The time in the opposition half. I thought it might have even been more than that. There's Andrew Johns. Oh, got it away. Gidley told to play on. Ball went backwards. And then back into the middle or thereabouts for McDougall. And Hegarty puts him away. Abraham was at acting half, and Andrew Johns on the last. Puts it down the ground. They're coming down fast after it. Minicello. 2 defenders on 1 attacker. They put him away back on his own line. Ryan Cross. 34 points in front. 64th minute. Just going down. A real waltz in the park for Newcastle tonight. I don't think anybody came here thinking this would happen. The Roosters have won here at Marathon, or haven't been beaten here, I should say, since 1996. And the last 3 times these two sides have played, as I said at the top of the show, it's been Sydney Roosters 3 from 3. Back for the restart at the 20-metre line. So Newcastle will keep themselves out of the clutches of those that are chasing. An interesting weekend unfolds in the National Rugby League. West Tigers versus the Sharks match at Leichhardt. It really becomes a crunch game, doesn't it? Butterfield! Peter Shields. Human 10 pins. Away they go. Ryan Cross on the broad of his back, and then Gidley with that little kick, looking for McDougall. McDougall's got it. They're going to do it. Gidley puts it under the uprights. That is absolutely beautiful. That is fantastic rugby league.
It's great communication, as you pointed out earlier, Ray. Cronulla have had a fair bit of success with these kind of kicks in the last couple of weeks. It takes precision, it takes skill and effort. And we see all of those in this one little movement here between Matthew Gidley and Adam McDougall. Ended up looking pretty simple, but the execution was superb. Left foot kick there from Gidley. And Adam McDougall around his winger. Both Robert Miles and Minicello, they've had nights that they'll be looking to forget.
Yeah, we've seen something special here tonight, haven't we? From the Newcastle Knights, with some of the best form they've shown all season. Well, Matthew Gidley, great skill, left foot. Robert Miles trying to shield the ball or something, didn't try to get it on the bounce, he was shielding something, and Andrew Johns simply converts.
So that was just exciting stuff. 46-6.
Well, Ray, 50 or 60 points isn't beyond the Newcastle Knights tonight, and you've got to start looking at the table and the for and against, the differential there. Newcastle tonight entering this match will level with Melbourne on 23 competition points, but behind them on for and against. With this margin right now, they've moved ahead of Melbourne, so it's vital every single point that Newcastle score from here. And on the other side of it, you know, the Roosters falling behind on for and against.
Yeah, that's a very worthwhile point, Andrew. And of course, people must realise that percentages under the McIntyre system take on even greater importance than they did before. Here's Parsons. They've really built their game behind him and Butterfield. And trying to force a pass. Why not? I suppose. 46-6, why not? Everything else has gone okay for us. I might as well have a shot myself, says Troy Fletcher. So the scrum will result in a win for the Sydney Roosters. And a rare excursion by them down to this other end of the park. Cross beating Beckett, putting a kick on, and then a little bit of work for Steve Simpson. He puts it in touch in goal. So line drop out time. This is the kid that they've got quite a rap on. Just watching the replay, just interested to see what happened to Ryan Cross after he kicks. Yeah, I don't know that Mark Hughes was entitled to do what he did. It could well have been a penalty for Cross and for the Sydney Roosters. Simpson's with it, they got it back. It's lethargic, isn't it? Here they are waiting for it. Newcastle pumped up, full of confidence, full of excitement, and they come up with it. I was talking earlier about Sean Rudder has got his eyes set on the number 6 jumper for next year with no Matthew. I'm just wondering, Paul, looking at the skills of Gidley, would he not be a front runner for it? Or would you prefer to leave him in the centres?
I've seen Rudder play a bit of 5'8" this year when Matthew Johns has been out, and he's really done a great job for the Knights outside of Andrew. I think Matthew Gidley's a really good centre. He's a hole runner. He's got plenty of speed and strength to be the perfect centre, really.
Okay, so you'd be leaving him there. 30-metre line then for the Roosters. Fitzgibbon. Solomona. We're almost passing the ball to them now. Rahihi. David Solomona couldn't get a clean catch on it. Andrew turns it back into the middle, and Badira sweeps it across to the left side for the attack over there. Rudder, the ball comes back, and it seemed to come off a Roosters player who didn't play at the ball. Now it's back with Parsons. He decides he'll flick pass as well. Fletcher puts one down the back. The Roosters come in contact with it. Fittler gets it back, and it's dived on by Luke Phillips. So Fittler now looking for somebody to take it away, and it's Hegarty. Phillips diving on it just into the field of play. And the Knights endeavouring to push him back into the in goal. Penrith and Brisbane on Sunday, I repeat, is our telecast game, particularly for you Panther supporters, from 4 o'clock. And of course, day 5 of the championships is coming up immediately after. Not necessarily immediately after the football, but coming up tonight, day 5 of the championships from Wimbledon, exclusive to Wide World of Sports and the 9 Network.
just on the configuration of that back row, of the back line next year, Ray. It's an embarrassment of riches in some way, despite the fact Matthew Johns is gone. Don't forget Tamana Tahu comes into that equation as well. He's their leading try scorer this year. Of course, you've got McDougall hopefully there for the Knights, and also Darren Albert. Plenty of players to choose from.
Billy Peden got himself a try earlier tonight. Here he is figuring again with Andrew Johns, and they keep it alive, and it is just touch football on occasions. Handball for Abraham now on the 5th tackle. Through the hands, Rudder keeping it down low. Confident take by Luke Phillips in a badly beaten side. He's had a lot of work to do, and he's got the job done again tonight, Luke Phillips.
Yeah, he has played really well again, Luke. And in these conditions, these windy, swirly conditions, he's taken plenty of high balls and picked rubbers up. He's been tremendous for them again.
Benetti, Ricketson into a sandwich tackle. Dearest and Rahiri making that joint tackle. Now it's with Rigon. Seven and a half minutes of the game to go. 40 points the margin. Abraham gets it back almost to the halfway line, keeping in mind, as Andrew rightly pointed out, points of high importance for all sides, but in this case we're talking about Newcastle trying to build on their for and against. That was coming into tonight, of course, 540 up against 440, so they had a plus 100. McDougall and Phillips again, calm, getting the job done without labouring the point that Paul has already covered. He has been very, very good tonight, Luke Phillips. Burns. Graham Murray. Everything was going so well, wasn't it? 4 on the trot, and now he comes up against a 40-point hiding at the moment.
It's got to be a major concern too for Graham Murray. Early in the season, if you cop one of these, you can say, well, we'll forget about it, but we're only a month away from the playoffs. These two teams will be there and may meet once again. There's Fittler, a little chip this time. Craig Wing on the fly, goes past Andrew Johns. No, Johns gets back and covers it and finds McDougall.
So McDougall turning what was defence into what looked like it might have been blistering attack down the right side. Now they go out with a big pass from Gidley. And Newcastle immediately back on the attack with Daniel Abraham tackle on the halfway line. Second play. Now Shields looking both ways. Nobody there. Badeiros and Shields combining again. Shields combining now with Peden. Peden gallops into open space to be cut down by Luke Phillips. Is it? Yes. Now Badeiros starts something for Mark Hughes. In and away, and then gets a pass to Lenny Beckett. Last tackle. Long ball finding Peden. Peden finding Andrew Johns. The ball went backwards and picked up by the Roosters. And played by Shannon Hegarty. So Brad Fittler to take it away down the centre. Line breaks, 10-1. And a penalty against Newcastle.
Yeah, he coming in and getting involved in a tackle when not needed. That's their second tackle. It's this kick for touch. Fails to do so. Abraham will need to bring it back in and does so with consummate ease.
Robert Miles creating a problem for himself and then having to make the chase. That's one thing he's not lacking in, of course, is speed. Showed him the sideline, and Abraham said thank you. But then Miles, of course, from behind, wearing him down quickly. Gidley. Upwards of 15,000 people here tonight. Peter Shields, who was expecting to play much earlier today, called up by the coach to the top grade to fill some holes. One created, of course, by David Fairley. First division score went to the Roosters, 34-4. Big win for them.
And a forward pass there from Andrew Johns. I'm not quite sure whether Warren Ryan would be too impressed with the last 10 minutes of the Newcastle Knights. It's fine to play with adventurous spirit. I think he'd like them being a little bit more controlled in the dying stages of this game.
Fittler actually tackled Rahihi, who was involved originally, and then Fittler getting up actually tackled Rahihi. Fletcher looking around in vain for somebody. A few of these might have bundied off by now, though, I think. Inside ball for Dallas Hood. Phillips grubbering ahead. Rigon is after it. Lenny Beckett's there first. Done a very capable job, Lenny Beckett. Injuries, of course, to Darren Albert and Robbie O'Davis saw him elevated to almost a permanent position in first grade, and he's really done well.
And it's been a tough night for Graham Murray, subject of injuries. Ray, we see Brian Fletcher being assisted from the field. It's his first game back from injury, so nothing worse than to have a scoreline like this against you and lose some players. He'll be fingers crossed that Fletcher will be all right for the Roosters run home as Lenny Beckett comes back inside, flung down by Craig Wing, 3 short of halfway.
Shields combining with Andrew Johns, intercepted by Hegarty. Put the white flag up, as no use chasing him. And Hegarty puts it down under the bar. So 46-10. The Knights over the Roosters, a minute to go, and the conversion to come.
Well, I think you could excuse Andrew Johns for this one. They had an overlap once again, but Hegarty's been preying on this all night. Finally, it was a long ball thrown by Andrew Johns. He pegged it beautifully, snapped it up, and away he went.
That's where they've got plenty of strike power, the Roosters. That's the 15th try for Shannon Hegarty this year. That's their leading try scorer. And 11 for Ryan Cross. So they had 25 between them coming into this game. Really haven't looked like putting the ball over the line on too many occasions. Well, they do so with 60 seconds left on the clock.
So that was the reaction from the Newcastle bench. Not a care in the world, really. Conversion for Luke Phillips from right in front, and 46-12 will be the final score, I would imagine. Intercept try right on full time, Andrew.
Yeah, smiles on the Newcastle bench, but even no reaction at all from the Roosters bench, despite Hegarty running away to score this try. Brian Fletcher, one of those men on the bench who was in pain as Hegarty crossed the line. It's again a recurrence of a rib injury that he seems to have been suffering week after week after week.
So the dying seconds of this game, one that Graham Murray in particular will be so glad to see it come to its conclusion. Couldn't have come into the game with better form. We knew that they would miss Adrian Lamb, but not to this extent. And a very disappointing Sydney Roosters, not beaten, but almost embarrassed. Talking of Adrian, he was on that the benches back there watching it. 46-12 they've gone down. Sydney Roosters to the Newcastle Knights.